Upsight Vision, the ability to see and interact with holographic images in front of us. There is a PDF releasing about this information and the 8 stages of Upsight Vision, which if you feel like you have this gift where you can see holographic images or sacred geometry or beings in front of you, and maybe you can communicate with them, Tom Matt, who I run his social media, hello, has created the 8 stages of Upsight Vision. I'm giving you a sneak peek right now at the introduction. And at the end of this video, I'll announce when it comes out and when he's doing a live. This can help you deepen your practice of Upsight Vision. It could help jumpstart your Upsight Vision potentially if you have this gift. And it can help you amplify your Upsight Vision or figure out what stage you're in and maybe where you're going. One very important thing is this is Tom's experience only. Everyone can have their own experience developing and getting Upsight Vision. He stresses that this is only his experience. Okay, some cool things he talks about in his introduction, which is part of his PDF, is the organic metaverse. That is the space that he navigates and interacts with these holographic images. It is filled with various holograms, abstract images from the past, and never before seen images. He talks about there being several different dimensions which can be manipulated and folded. He also talks about the hidden biosphere. It is a space he describes as part of our Earth. It is invisible, it stretches in space, and communication with beings in this is non-verbal. He also does warn you must be aware of your surroundings because things can be dangerous that show up. Just like humans, it's not all good. He typically interchanges organic metaverse and hidden biosphere as a similar or the same thing. He too is still learning. He also talks about his backstory. He was just a normal guy, a successful marketing executive, a business owner, a husband, a father. And then one fateful day, he started realizing maybe life isn't what I thought it was. This led to a break in reality, a crippling addiction, a total change of life, a mental breakdown. But through this, he got sober, he cleaned up his life, and he sustained the gift that he got through this traumatic experience, which he calls Upsight Vision. It is very important to also talk about how a lot of people who have spiritual gifts start out with mental health issues. It doesn't mean this has to be the way it happens for you. I have said in other videos, this can also stem out of a heartbreak, out of another traumatic moment in your life, or out of a potential awakening even from starting meditation. But usually the first stage, which is a very sneak peek, has to do with some type of disillusionment. More on that later. He goes on to talk about how the Institute of Noetic Sciences and Dean Radin is studying this, so this is a legitimate thing. A lot of people are starting to realize they have this or have had this. You just have different names for it. He also lets you know and differentiates that Upsight Vision is not a vivid mind's eye. He cannot drive when he experiences this Upsight Vision. He also refers to it as clouds, that they're always changing. They can be bad or ugly, they can be good. Nothing is ever static, ever. This is a flux. He also goes into certain warnings, like if these images make you angry or want to be violent, stop it immediately. Having clean mental health is extremely important and taking care of your mental health and self-care. This is a tool, it is a sense. This is not something you have to use 24/7. And it is extremely different than schizophrenia, which he does not have. He also tells you that this is not just imagination, because a lot of you guys say that in the comments. He also does start to get into that not all these things you see are truthful, which he'll explain further. That's about where I'll end right now. So anyway, the introduction is what I just told you. The actual PDF, here we go, drum roll, will be out June 18th, this next Tuesday. You will also be going with me live on my channel at Dana Kipple. And I think you can watch it here because he'll be a guest. That will be at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST on Tuesday, June 18th. So the free PDF will be out Tuesday, June 18th in the morning. It's going to be sent out. If you are not already subscribed, go to his link in his bio, subscribe to get the free PDF, which will be the 8 stages of Upsight Vision, with the intro I just talked about, which is like 4 pages long, included in this pretty long PDF. He's given me a sneak peek of it. It is so freaking cool. It is so interesting. There's like nothing like this that I've seen. And I think it's going to help so many of you who are experiencing these things, like really get clarity, Oh my God, I'm just so excited for everyone. There is an extra sense in the eye that some people have where they can see holographic images in front of them. Tom Matt is one of these people. He calls it Upsight Vision. Welcome to the sneak peek of his free PDF all about Upsight Vision and the 8 stages of Upsight Vision. For those of you who might have this gift, want this gift, think that you can maybe have it, this is going to be awesome and informative. Here we go. Stage 1, disillusionment / mental breakdown. Now, Tom is very cautious. He says that you do not need a mental breakdown to have Upsight Vision, but a lot of people who have spiritual gifts or gifts like an extra sense, it does come from a mental breakdown of some sort. It can also come from a broken heart, from trauma, from a spiritual experience in meditation. This is Tom's experience, and some of you might relate. I'm not going to give too much away, but he basically talks about waking up one day and realizing that everything is not what it seems. His concept of reality was totally broken down. Things in the media are not what they seem, but his paranoia started going to an all-time high where it became out of hand. He started to use drugs and abuse them. This fed the paranoia. He also talks about physically, he felt a lot of tension, body contractions during this time. Anyway, he'll talk more about it in the PDF and his experience with his mental breakdown. I'm going to be posting the sneak peek of stage 2 tomorrow. If you're not already subscribed, you go to the link in his bio and subscribe on his website to get the free PDF on the 8 stages of Upsight Vision. I will also be going live with him next Tuesday, June 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And where we're going to be talking about all things Upsight Vision, the free PDF that he's sending out Tuesday morning. And you can ask him questions and he'll be talking live. Tom Matt can see holographic beings in front of him and sometimes communicate with them. He is making a free PDF on how he does this, what stages you could possibly be in if you have this gift, and also if you don't have it, maybe how you can develop it. This is a preview of his PDF, which comes out next Tuesday, June 18th, and in the morning. It is called Upsight Vision, and this is stage 2. Go to the first video for stage 1. Stage 2, escape. So he already figured out that his reality was broken, this world is a lie, and he wanted to get as far away from it as possible, so he started doing drugs as a psychological escape. But the drugs were temporary. He would always come down from the high and found himself in the same exact situation, disillusioned with life. He needed something more drastic. He needed to physically exit his life because it was all a lie. He filed for divorce. He left his wife and 2 kids, walked out of the advertising agency job he had for almost 20 years, emptied his bank account. He traveled the world, spent all his money on 5-star hotels, and he ended up broken homeless in Los Angeles. So that did not really work out for him. Ended up in a psych hospital. He was diagnosed bipolar. He got clean and sober. This is 10 years ago. He also said you don't necessarily need to carry the mental health diagnosis for the rest of your life. His life-altering actions were based on his psychosis. Basically, all the choices he made while on drugs led to his bipolar diagnosis. He wouldn't have had that if he didn't use the drugs. So he was able to break out of that diagnosis and regain his mental health. He got his sanity back and his family back. His mental states during this second stage were sadness and depression, shame and humiliation. He felt disconnected from his physical body and his old life and way of thinking. And his physical state was he lost a lot of weight from not eating. Once again, he does stress that not everyone has to go through a total mental breakdown to receive spiritual gifts like he has Upsight Vision. But this does happen to a lot of people, and this is his story. And obviously we're going to move forward to more exciting parts of Upsight Vision, but you have to know where it started. And for him, it started in darkness and in disillusionment and in confusion. And I bet a lot of you can relate to that. So he wanted to talk about that first as one of the stages. I personally can relate to this as well. But yeah, to learn more about how he went from this to now interacting with holographic beings, able to maintain his sanity, do this on stable ground, and now he's being tested by the Institute of Noetic Sciences. He's changing people's lives. He is expanding his life and consciousness in a lot of cool ways he's going to talk about. Subscribe for a free PDF coming out June 18th in the morning. You can go the link in his bio and follow him. And then he'll be going live with me on the night of June 18th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and he'll talk about Upsight Vision and all the stages. But yeah, this is just a little sneak peek about stage 2. Ready for more magic to come. Do you want to rewire your brain so you can get psi abilities? PSI, like telepathy, remote viewing, astral projection, channeling. This guy, I managed his page, talks about how he has Upsight Vision. It's where you communicate with holographic images or beings in front of you. This is part 3 of his PDF of the 8 stages of Upsight Vision, where he talks about if you have this gift, how to develop it, what stage you're at, if you don't have it, how you can maybe get it. Anyway, let me go on to stage 3, watch the other videos, check out the page, it's really cool. Welcome to the world of spirituality, metaphysics, and the unknown. You are here in the future. Let me be your guide. All right, stage 3. Opening and rewiring. In this part of Tom's PDF, he's going to talk about opening and rewiring your brain or mind to receive new information. Initially, the data you might receive comes off as chaotic or disconnected. When his mind broke, like in stage 1, he started getting new kind of downloads of information. At first, he couldn't really decipher or understand it. I'm sure a lot of you with spiritual awakenings can relate to this. For him specifically, this stage was more mental and auditory than visual, which is kind of exciting because if you find yourself having like clairaudience or channeling or getting downloads, maybe Upsight Vision is in the future for you. I hope it is for me. And just so you know, this is 10 years in the making, so this is probably earlier on. And I'm only in like year 4 or 3 of my spiritual journey, so I'm excited. He did start seeing some visual elements. He talks about orbs, UFOs, and UAPs. Cryptids and other 3D creatures. He said it's like we realize almost there's additional elements to the brain, additional features to the brain, but we don't know how to use them, or he didn't. And no one was there to teach him, which is why he's making this PDF to hopefully make you all feel less alone who are dealing with this. This is just his experience, by the way. He knows he's not like a teacher per se, but he hopes sharing his experience unfiltered can help y'all. He also talks about perhaps that trauma unlocks these features in your brain. There's no cheat codes maybe to doing it, but he doesn't know. For him, it was mental health issues and trauma. For me, it was too. But maybe it could be something different for you, like meditation or spiritual awakening. But in mythology, the greatest heroes go through trauma. So if you're going through something hard, congrats. You're going to help a lot of people in the future. He talks about how psi abilities, PSI abilities, start presenting themselves at this stage, but there's no control. You don't know how to help people with them or use it. It just makes you feel strange, weird, and alone. This stage is very tricky, like a trickster in mythology, he says. And discernment is key. Almost like you're learning to talk a new language. He also wanted to stress he did get MRIs. There was no damage from drug use. He is not schizophrenic. What he does know is he now sees the world differently. So even though he got clean and sober, his senses were overwhelmed with information that made him feel unsteady. Once again, I'm sure you all can relate. I definitely can. And there's like no guidebook for this. I mean, maybe there is. Anyway, he talks about his brain is rewiring itself somehow. It takes time to adjust. He also talks about that filter he had before his brain broke, before his mental breakdown or psychosis, that is healing itself. It's weaving itself back together. So he doesn't believe everything he sees or reads or hears. Once again, discernment is key. As I said, if you look up trickster mythology, is part of all spiritual awakenings. At some point, you're going to be tested and tricked. It's just all part of the game of life. He learns how to separate normal, healthy thoughts from psychotic or paranoid thoughts. He said it's usually at this stage where people with special gifts decide to become mediums or make a career of this. He once again talks about downloads from an unknown source or intelligent being. Starts happening at this stage. It definitely does for me, or did for me. I feel like personally, I'm honestly in this stage of trying to decipher like what's true and what's not. It's very normal, but it can feel maddening sometimes. Very important, once again, with discernment, he says don't make any life-changing decisions with this information. I can totally agree with this because at this stage in my life, I'll get like a random download or thought to like move to Montana. And I would love to in Los Angeles. But there's things in my 3-dimensional life where I can't just up and move to Montana. Like, I think it's more of me wanting to escape and not deal with life and traumas and things here that I actually do have to deal with. Eventually, I literally will move to Montana. when it's actually time and I'm making a grounded, centered decision. Anyway, I think that's a good example for what he's talking about. Or for instance, if I download, it's my purpose to connect everyone with the fourth dimension. It probably is. But I can take that in a very spiritual bypassy way if I haven't healed my trauma yet, and I could start obsessing about Egypt, the fourth dimension, pyramids, how we connect to this, the fourth dimension, shadow work, darkness. But then I won't even work on my own shadow work because I'm just trying to help other people connect with it. And you'll see a lot of spiritual people do this. Tom has taken over 10 years on his own before releasing any of this to do the work on himself. And it's very important for y'all to do the work on yourself, learn discernment. I think that's kind of what he's saying. It's actually the end. So he says, discernment is key. His mental state during this stage were some of the previous mental states from stage 2. Go check it out. And also a burning desire to learn more, like a seeker. He also became hyper alert to things around him, not really paranoid anymore, but very aware. And then his physical state was alert and guarded, tense. He said it was very important at this stage to find a physical outlet to stay grounded. I highly recommend this as well. For him, lifts weights and runs. For me, I love yoga and doing ab workouts. Something about like stabilizing my solar plexus really makes me feel good. For women, also hiking might be great. Anything that's working the tension out of your body, that's releasing from years of trauma. And I think just from like the general shock of learning everything isn't what you thought it was. Either way, this is such a gift to have this information, because I don't know about you guys, but I felt alone and like it's hard to talk to people about this. And thank God I have a therapist who's also a shaman who like literally I think she's a shaman. Maybe I'm making that up, but she deals with the spiritual side of things. But anyway, hopefully reading this PDF can help you. So, Tom is going live about the free PDF this Tuesday, June 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. He also is releasing the free PDF, the 8 Stages of Upsight Vision, Tuesday, June 18th in the morning. If you're not subscribed for the absolutely free PDF, subscribe right now. Go to his page, follow him, please. And go to his website and put in your email and subscribe. In the future, he will obviously probably be releasing books and other cool things, so it's fun to subscribe just to get all that good stuff. Either way, thank you for listening this long. Thanks for dealing with me. It's the morning, you know? I just really wanted to make this video and I didn't feel like showering. He's gonna be like, Dana, take that off. All right, bye guys. These 3 things unlock your superpowers and they're incredibly human. They're acceptance, letting go, and forgiveness. Let me explain. Quick recap, Tom Matt sees holographic images in front of him. He calls it Upsight Vision. He's making a free PDF, the 8 Stages of Upsight Vision, so you can learn how to do this too. Or maybe if you already have this psychic intuitive gift, you can learn what stage you're in, how to make it more powerful. Go and watch all the videos on his page. All right, stage 4, acceptance and forgiveness. So you've been through a mental breakdown. You try to escape your reality. You start to open and rewire your brain and heal. And now we come upon acceptance, forgiveness, and letting go to continue the healing process. This might seem like a weird stage to include, but it's one of the most, if not the most important stage to accessing Upsight Vision or any intuitive gift, really. He says that this changed him emotionally, but also physiologically in his body. He accepted that he played a huge role in his mental breakdown by using drugs. It's a paradox of a very powerless state, but also powerful. He might not have control of what other people tell him or what's coming into his brain, but he has control over his response, his emotions, and his behavior. He also had to forgive himself for the way he behaved during the psychosis and drug addiction to his family and his loved ones. It's very important for all of you guys, no matter what your mistakes have been, to forgive yourself, even if other people don't right away. He also forgave people for how they treated him when he was homeless for a while. He talked about being treated really poorly. He had to forgive those people. Also letting go of the fact that sometimes governments lie. People lie. The media lies. Maybe even animals lie to camouflage themselves from predators. Lying is survival. It's how people act in a materialistic, capitalistic society. When something or someone lies, it actually has nothing to do with you, he says, or nothing to do with him. You learn not to take things personal. And that's when the conspiratorial thoughts and the paranoia can be let go. because you realize it's not all about you. The world is not against you, and you have the power to change things. And you have the power to how you react to all of these things. And even if it does have to do with you, some lies or some things, you learn how to deal with it and react different. These are the superpowers, he says, that unlock other superpowers, which we're going to talk about in the next couple stages. But it's very important to learn these things first. This is how you get grounded. This is how you don't float off into the ether with wings right away and go completely bonkers. Because spiritual gifts can drive you bonkers. So if y'all skip these first few stages and you have gifts and you're going a little bit loose in the head, come back and go to these other stages. He knows it's not easy to forgive people who have gaslit you, emotionally abused you, etc. It's not easy to forgive yourself. That's why it's a superpower, because not everyone does it. Or not everyone can do it though. This is a spiritual stage, he says. Or at least you can make a case for that. He says, humans are capable of harnessing more power than we've ever imagined. He says, do the best you can at the stage of acceptance, forgiveness, and letting go. It is extremely important for navigating stage 7 and 8, which I will get into. Your mental state, if you do this with earnestness and sincerity, is transcendent. There's moments of peace and hope. The physical state is a feeling that a weight has been lifted off of you, of a lightness. There's a real release of tension in the body. I've experienced it too. I'm sure you have as well. Holding on a poison and expecting someone else to drink it, I think it's the saying goes. Or like anger is when you're holding on a poison and expecting the other person to drink it. You're getting poisoned by holding on to all this. Okay. Imagine one day waking up and realizing that you can see holographic images in front of you, and that some of them can even communicate with you. This is called Upsight Vision. This is stage 5 out of the 8 stages that Tom Matt has made. Go give his page a follow. I'm a social media manager. If you have this gift of seeing images in front of you, feel free to listen. Go watch stage 1 through 5 that I already posted. Okay, stage 5, the discovery of Upsight Vision and seeing holographic images. So realizing that you have the ability to see holographic images is nothing short of mind-blowing, Tom says. Realizing that you could change those images with a thought is nothing short of amazing. He says in the PDF, which comes out next Tuesday, June 18th, maybe if he had this ability all his life, it wouldn't be as awe-inspiring. But he's had it for a while now, and he's still in awe every day of this ability. It's like an additional sense that no one ever told us about growing up. He thinks maybe it's a new sense that humans are all going to need to survive down the road. Maybe climate change or an unseen threat. And he has found no literature on this ability. I personally think it is going to help us communicate with interdimensional beings, but that's my own opinion. I think we're going into the stage of the age of Aquarius, communication with our loved ones in the other realms. Back to Tom's theory though. He says he believes he developed Upsight Vision because of a physiological change in his brain. Something was upregulated in his genes that gave him this ability. He thinks it's a mutation of some kind. He also knows he's not the only one. There are other people who've reached out saying they could do this. A lot of you guys watching this too. There are many other people evolving with this ability. Some have it to the degree Tom does, some have it in a lesser degree. That's why he made this PDF, 8 Stages of Upsight Vision, so you could see maybe where you're at in the stage. He says that most people that contact him fall between 3 and 8. So something is changing in us, and his question is why? Immediately followed by, where are these holographic images originating? This is a light bulb moment for him. It's like a baby taking its first steps. But the baby is aware of what it's doing and how it's going to navigate the rest of its life. This is interesting. So Tom also says with the right technology, we can learn how to triangulate the images he sees, the holographic images. He calls them waves, and follow the images back to their source. Where will that be? He says that technology obviously does not exist just yet, maybe. Soon though, he says he'll help create it. He says maybe stage 3 is not provable in a lab, but this stage is Upsight Vision. It is 100% repeatable, it is measurable, and we at least have some technology like EEGs and fMRIs to get it started. So his mental state during this period was a state of awe, a calming of the mind, a feeling of being connected to something else, desire to stay clean and sober and connected so he could better understand these images, almost like he had a purpose. His physical state was noticing these images when his eyes were closed and at unexpected times, which is interesting because for me, I'm starting to notice some images with my eyes closed. A strong desire also to stay physically fit he had, and his eyes would get tired after focusing on these images too long. This is not saying he does 24/7. He also talks about negative environment engagements. He says that these images sometimes can be a little bit dark, and I'm putting it nicely. He says that positive environment engagements are spending hours realizing you have a new sense and wonder about these possibilities and its unlimited potential. He also daydreams by using this ability for many things that he'll eventually talk about that I can't share right now. Anyway, obviously to me, this stage is the most exciting so far. I personally think there's so much to build off of with this stage and learn about Upsight Vision. I think some of us can hear or know these things. Some of us see these things, whether it's in our mind's eye or like Tom in front of us, which is why he calls it Upsight Vision, for many other reasons as well. So we will be going live together. I'll be asking him questions. We'll also do a Q&A on June 18th at nighttime at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's also going to be releasing this free PDF the June 18th in the morning. So if you're not already subscribed, go to his page, follow him, and go to click his website and subscribe so you can get the free PDF about Upsight Vision. There is a hidden field beyond your daily reality, and this guy, Tom Matt, is about to tell you all about it and what is inside of it. Stage 6, contact with the organic metaverse / hidden biosphere. So this stage is about observing the hidden biosphere, or the organic metaverse as Tom calls it, and accessing it and the holographic images within it with minimal interaction. When this happens, you have a strange feeling that maybe you've hacked the matrix or hacked the source code of the universe and you're seeing past the simulation, kind of like behind the mirror. At first, you're more of a passive viewer. He says you watch the images in this space for hours at a time. It becomes immediately obvious that even though these holograms are clear and in focus and you're really seeing them, that they're not necessarily true. Imagine accessing your dreams while awake, he says. It's kind of like that, but there's so much more. You can also see how the hidden biosphere connects with the normal biosphere of Earth, even at the quantum level. At least he says that's what it looks like to him. He also has many illustrations of these interactions, accepting the idea that there's much more to this planet and the biosphere than humans can see is part of the stage. I'm sure y'all already know this. He talks about our human biofield being connected to way more than we're aware in ways that he says we can't even comprehend yet. I have faith. So his mental state during this was more awe, wonder, and joy. His physical state was realizing that he could see these images when his eyes are open. All he does is shift his attention. He can't operate any vehicle during this or any motor skills. Takes full visual attention, this specific Upsight Vision. The negative environment engagements, he says, prepare to have your worldview turned upside down. Let's call it an ontological shock. And then positive environment engagements, spending hours surfing the organic metaverse and watching this hidden biosphere. He likens it to walking through a forest or swimming along a reef and watching and waiting to see what shows up. That's pretty cool, like a cosmic ocean. Anyway, I don't know about you, but I'm excited for stage 7. There is a field beyond what you see every day. Subscribe on Tom's website for the PDF, which is in the link in the bio. It is completely free. It comes out June 18th in the morning, and then June 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tom and I are going live June 18th to talk about Upsight Vision and give a Q&A for all you guys who get the free PDF. So go subscribe, follow Tom. He's awesome, very genuine, wants to help people feel less alone. Stay tuned for stage. There is knowledge available for the entire planet's survival, and Tom Matt thinks that it is inside the organic metaverse. Let me explain. This is stage 7 of the 8 stages of what Tom Matt calls Upsight Vision. I'm a social media manager. Upsight Vision is where you can see holographic images and interact with them in front of you. It is like an upgraded sense of vision. Anyway, go to his page, follow him, watch the other videos. Let me get back to it. Okay, stage 7. Learning and interacting with these holographic images and downloading information from the organic metaverse. Okay, Tom says in his PDF, understanding that you can participate in this interaction and change holographic images with a thought, and realizing that the space is extra dimensional and can be navigated, studied, and measured is part of this stage. And knowing that there's a knowledge available here that humans can use for the entire planet's survival is incredible. I literally liken it, this is just my opinion, to the Akashic Field, or the place that humans tap in when they go into survival mode. But maybe we can access it all the time. Sorry, I get excited. Okay, he says learning math and manipulating topological spaces in the organic metaverse is part of the stage. He says, imagine if the Library of Alexandria was converted into holographic images. This is like that. And you can go to his page and kind of see, he has some images in some of his videos that he shows is like, shows you guys what he sees. Because I know a lot of y'all watching have this too. So if you also interact with this field and get downloads for your knowledge and wisdom, you're in this stage. So he says that there's a wealth of hidden and lost knowledge here. There is a wealth of hidden and lost knowledge in this organic metaverse for us to mine. Also harvest and download. That kind of reminds me of the video game Harvest Moon. Okay, anyway. Also, he realizes that the organic metaverse is different than the hidden biosphere. He says using Upsight Vision to watch this hidden biosphere interact with Earth's traditional biosphere, and accepting the idea that there's intelligent beings that live on Earth with humans, and maybe that these non-human intelligences are smarter and evolved and are different than humans. They're not superior or better than humans, they're just different. But yeah, he's going to explain the difference between hidden biosphere and organic metaverse. Once again, this is just a sneak peek. Also, there was an article recently about aliens living among us. This is it. I just had to put it in so y'all see. It was a Harvard study. Anyways, you should definitely go read that study after this video because there's a lot of interesting correlations of what they think of these like interdimensional beings and kind of what Tom talks about here. Also, what he says about them not, these NHIs or non-human intelligences being not superior or better than humans, but just more evolved and smarter is very important. Whether they're our future selves or they've just been around longer, no one is better or worse than you, which is a common human principle as well. Not to put people on pedestals. And that kind of goes back to the whole thing where he says these things can trick you sometimes, and always listen to your inner instincts and your inner voice, which is why the other stage of healing is so important, and forgiveness, versus just trusting anything you learn from these things. Sorry about that. Okay, he says learning from watching the behavior of these NHIs is also in this stage, or non-human intelligences. He says he has 12 years of knowledge, he has 10 years of knowledge, for those of you I'm just translating, downloaded from this space stored in his brain. A book's worth of knowledge, probably 2, and he's definitely going to write books, I bet. Or I think he is. Okay, he says his mental state during this stage, stage 7, is a feeling that an understanding and control, or at least the management of the organic metaverse might be possible. So interesting. Almost like you can mold it with your consciousness, a lot like plasma. It can also be peaceful and blissful to stay in this space from time to time. That's really cool. This is getting me very excited. And the physical state of himself engaging with these images and surfing the organic metaverse and hidden biosphere at any time you desire can be exhausting as it is exhilarating, he says. So just when you get that tension out of your body from healing, it comes back. We're just always struggling, aren't we? Also, he says the negative environmental changes. The space is filled with noisy data, lies, and trickster type elements. See, I knew he'd bring that up. He says, don't trust anything you see here. Camouflage is the norm in the hidden biosphere. Dude, this reminds me of the Maya, which means illusion, which I also relate to plasma. Maya is illusion. Look it up. It's so cool. Anyway, he says, don't make life choices from the images or data you receive. It takes years and years of access to begin to understand the space. This is so cool. Positive environmental engagements, he says. Scripting, creating any story you want in the organic metaverse. Maybe that's why there's so much noise here, he says. Well, yeah, that makes sense. It's like the building blocks of imagination and inventions. He says downloading information and saving it for later use, playing with extra dimensions, manipulating manifolds and topological spaces. This is, and by the way, guys, once again, this is not technology. This is all with our consciousness. Like, how cool. He says that he's learned that the images do repeat themselves and come back again and again. Those are more likely true, or at least point to the truth, he says. That is so important. I'm going to say that again. The images that repeat themselves and come back again and again are more likely to be true or point to the truth, just like synchronicities in your life, just like reoccurring lessons. I mean, that makes so much sense. This all makes sense. Also, accepting the idea that he might be getting assistance from a benevolent terrestrial non-human intelligence. Anyone that channels their higher self or talks to archetypes or beings knows that this is also true. I have the same experiences. But I know overall to listen to my inner gut. So when you have that thing where you're like, oh, but my spirit guide told me to do that and they were wrong, or the tarot cards were wrong, that's because sometimes there's trickster energy involved. And it's all for the greater good for you to learn. But yeah, so important. Okay, I'm done. I can't wait for stage 8. I'm going to be sharing that tomorrow, Monday, with you guys. And then Tuesday, we're getting the free PDF sent out. If you're not already subscribed, go to his website, subscribe for the PDF. It's in his link in bio. Follow Tom Matt here, Upsight Vision, Tom Matt. And then we are going to be going live Tuesday night, 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going live on my page at Dana Kipple. And I think he'll be a guest, so it'll probably show up here too. Bye! Are you bored with life and you want to communicate with non-human intelligences, interdimensional beings, grays, your higher self? Listen to this video. This is part 8. It's a whole series. Go on Tom's page and watch all stages. This is called Upsight Vision. It is the ability to see holographic images in front of you and sometimes communicate with them. This stage is called Stage 8, Communication. By far the most magical and coolest stage. Okay, here we go. So this stage is about communicating with a cosmic intelligence and various non-human intelligences within the hidden biosphere. I kind of liken the hidden biosphere almost to like the movie Labyrinth, the world that she goes to. Like, let's just say that that is also on Earth at the same time, but we can't always see it. And it has like mythical beings, kind of like that. Tom would say it's a lot more than that, but I'm just trying to give you a visual here. But imagine if it's like rainbow and holographic. Okay. He also says that humans can use this to communicate with each other. We just don't know how yet. Or we forgot and need to be reminded how, which is what I think is true. This is interesting. He says that this place is not heaven or hell with angels and demons, but he thinks that some NHIs, some non-human intelligences, pretend to be demons. And he thinks their job is to keep us from educating ourselves, from looking around, from learning more. This is just my little 2 cents too. I think also there's probably wisdom even in these fake demons, and it usually reflects something we have to overcome in ourselves or our belief system. Because just like in life, bad things happen, you meet bad people, you don't need to suck them into your life, you don't need to take their beliefs as your own. You can learn to become neutral to them and focus on you and love and curiosity. That, I feel like that's kind of like this. Okay. He also says again that this hidden biosphere is part of Earth, and humans are evolving and are starting to be able to see it. Like, more and more of you are starting to be able to communicate with this field and see it. I think that the Aboriginals and Dreamtime actually have a lot to do with the same thing. So maybe we're learning again or remembering how to see this field and communicate within it. So this part's cool. Tom says it's like walking into the Amazon jungle. There's several creatures you see, but there's also several creatures you don't see who are camouflaged, who are watching you, or they're hiding. Some are benign, some are dangerous. The hidden biosphere is very much like that. It has benevolent beings and malevolent beings. It's literally Earth. It's reflecting life, if you haven't gotten that already. And I don't know about you, but this just feels true to me. If it doesn't feel true to you, then whatever. But I feel like we know in our hearts, even though it defies logic, what feels right and true and resonates, like this might be a reality. Science is also catching up. There's numerous studies now about aliens living among us, about finding a particle that the pure force is made out of, about where like matter or energy disappears to. I don't know. There's so many hidden things that are coming out in science is my point. And I think they're starting to catch up to the mystical side of things. We'll see. He says the only big difference with these beings are some are more territorial. They're more intelligent and they have a territorial advantage, like they know the space better than us. He thinks that these NHIs have been living in this space for eons and eons, and they know Earth and this space way better than us. Almost like if it was the Akashic Field in Earth's memory bank. Interesting, they can also remain hidden and undetected from extraterrestrial NHIs, which I guess he thinks are different than these, which makes sense. He says regarding the communication element, it's hard to realize what to pay attention to when you're looking at this hidden field and the things within it, like where to put your focus. He also reminds you that the information that happens again and again and keeps coming back, that usually is more true and not trickster energy. Now, he talks about how you might see images or information that you can't just draw with a simple diagram. Here's 2 examples. So actually the first few weeks he had these experiences, and I can relate to this. He got a bunch of downloads telling him to find and connect to the right team of visionaries and scientists so he could begin research on Upsight Vision. Very important, well, not very important, but when I started channeling and had my spiritual awakening, I was actually in the beginning of my spiritual awakening given the most downloads and information. I barely even remember these things now, but when I go back to them written down, it kind of had the same thing, like about me finding certain people, about my purpose for Earth. So just remember, when you're having these awakenings, the beginning is the coolest part sometimes, like beginner's luck. Write it all down, because then you're going to go through a dark night of the soul, like Tom explained in his earlier stages of healing, forgiveness, working through trauma. And then I think you'll come back to these stages with a grounded understanding of yourself and a grounded, centered sense of self. That way you're able to communicate with these things and not go on off the deep end or become too spacey or just believe everything they say because you're spiritual bypassing and you're like, oh, this is all amazing. It's like, no, you need discernment. You need boundaries. You need a strong sense of self. You need a clean and clear mental health. Yeah, you could struggle with things still with mental health, but you really need to be grounded for this. Anyway, there's an actual peer-reviewed, studied paper coming out about this soon with Tom Matt and Upsight Vision. I cannot wait for that. He's also still trying to connect with more visionaries like yourself and create a bigger team to study Upsight Vision. I don't think he's going to have any issue with that, to be honest. He's been waiting 10 years to do this, and 10 years usually is when things start to pop off. He's put in the work, he's put in the time. Basically, if you have these gifts and you feel like no one's listening to you, never give up. It took him 10 years. I'm an actor and director. It's taking me forever. The big thing here is keep going, believe in your vision, don't give up, and work on your mental health. Okay, there's something really interesting and actually a little concerning now that I have to talk about with the messages Tom has. I'm going to share them in part 2. So stay tuned. I will post that later. Bye. There are various threats that humanity is facing, and Tom Matt wants to talk about them. This is part 2. Go watch part 1 of Stage 8, Upsight Vision. It has to do with communicating with non-human intelligences. You might think they're interdimensional beings. Anyway, this is a very important message he has. So when Tom taps into this thing called the hidden Biosphere, he receives communication from these beings. Some of them are tricksters, but sometimes they repeat it over and over, and he thinks that these things are true, and here's what they say. There is a variety of threats coming to us as humans, and we think we understand them, but we don't, not even a little. These benevolent terrestrials, he calls them, want us, they need us to work together to mitigate ecological disasters and a coming invasion, maybe even another pandemic. And Tom's not trying to instill fear in you guys, but there also is a reality. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about saving the planet. We are not doomed. There is hope, but we do need to work together. He says it seems like we're being played by an extraterrestrial, non-human intelligence for the benefit of a few here on Earth at the expense of the many. So benefiting a few on Earth for the expense of the many. I think you know what I'm saying. Here's where it gets exciting for us. Tom says that the messages he receives, that these elites are actually screwed. They're greedy. That ain't working anyour. I think we all know, a lot of systems right now are breaking down. Age of Aquarius. He talks about the fact that their greed and ambition have compromised our earth and put us in a horrible place. That's completely true. When you do things for the outcome of money instead of love, things are going to get ruined. And that's a great life lesson, by the way. You will always have what you need if you choose with love. You will. Okay, he also says that these elites will be betrayed by this extraterrestrial NHI. This kind of reminds me of like the reptilians or like the archons, and how like there's, rumors of like an elite few who run the world and are like darker. I don't know, maybe there's something to that. I guess that's what he's saying. Or it's just that maybe these people have like a contract with these darker forces and they don't realize that these forces are going to screw them over, which would make sense to me. Usually in real life, when you betray people, for someone, you get betrayed by them as well. Ooh. That's the laws of the universe, baby. He does not think it will end well for these few humans who are betraying the earth. But then Tom says he's not sure he believes this, but the information keeps coming back. So here's what Tom does believe for sure, without a doubt, that humans are being influenced by some type of outside force or outside forces that are not benevolent. This reminds me of something called Witeko, W-I-T-E-K-O. Look it up. Very similar. And our human arrogance to, be facetious about, is this even possible? This is how they take such good advantage of us, he says. He says we also need to understand better Upsight Vision, the organic metaverse, and the hidden biosphere. Together, we need to study this communication channel so we can navigate it much like we do with radio waves. And I think that actually has something to do with it, but that's a whole other thing. And I think it has to do with plasma and radio waves. We need to use it to communicate with these intelligences, to communicate with each other, and most importantly, how to discern truth from lies. That's the biggest thing. And that's once again, just like humanity, we need to figure out how to discern truth from lies when it comes to people and relationships. I mean, this is like our life lesson of humanity, is it not? If you go back and think about what's been most hard or important in your life, it's probably a lot of betrayal with people. Tom says the more smarter minds working with Upsight Vision, the better, and that can mean emotionally smart or intelligent. He also says a better understanding here will highlight the very serious limitations of AI and AGI. Okay, so his mental state at the stage 8, was a mental understanding that humans will be able to visit this space and communicate with each other at a quantum level. We'll also be communicating with NHIs, non-human intelligences, terrestrial ones, so earthbound, I think that means, that inhabit this space. We'll be doing that more in the next few years, which I believe too. This is so exciting. It can be a bit scary, and it takes courage and belief in your own mental stability and a belief in your own mental strength. He also says it's very empowering just to remember that we are also visitors in this space. We do not own it. His physical state in stage 8 is engaging with these beings and surfing the metaverse whenever possible, anytime he desires. Also knowing that an NHI could show up at any moment and communicate with you. Negative environmental engagements are manipulation of your thoughts and feelings by malevolent NHIs. They will use shame and guilt to keep you from this space. I don't know about y'all, but this has been extremely interesting and mind-opening for me. I've gotten a lot of downloads even from this information and ideas, and I can't wait to learn more about it. So, PDF with way more information about the 8 stages of Upsight is going to be out literally this Tuesday, June 18th in the morning. It's getting sent out to all of y'all who have subscribed. If you have not subscribed, go to Tom's page, follow him, and subscribe on his website. And then we're going to go live for a Q&A to talk to y'all about after you guys have read all the PDF stuff on Tuesday, June 18th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm so excited to talk about this with you guys and Tom. All right. Goodbye.